political prisons began to openly confront. They start hunger strikes, crashes with the institution management, letters to complain, were writing against particular aspects of penal institutions, there's health treatment workshops, all of which has seeping public opinion. Public opinion starts to get involved, solidarity with the political prisoners, and that will have the consequence for social prisoners, because prison has this power, but has also a symbolic power, and it has to survive. So the thing was that when political prisoners, when the society gets solidarity with them, they say they are not guilty, they only are there for opinions. No, we are trying to get a democracy. So prison has to redefine, to say no, prison is necessary. So it gets more guilty to ordinary prisoners, like they are criminals. The difference is that they are not. Political prisoners are not criminal, but the other are criminal. So that legitimized the existence of the prison, and this the same effect, as I said, happened in society, because the sympathy given to political prisoners does not lose the eyes in prison as an institution to get the safeguard of society. So it continues to justify the attention of social prisoners. Political prisoners choose to pretend themselves, show to society as victims. So the previous regime, in order to collect their spoils and not to denounce everything that happens inside prisons, they forgot about the claims of other prisoners. So this difference, the difference between political and common prisoners, they say that the society starts to say that the first of them were not criminals. So all this atmosphere get to the common prisoners to feel really discriminated. So they begin to become aware of the situation, and in the year of '72, it's really late, they get the first really big mutiny. The first broke out of them, who began to call themselves social. The following years, there were riots in the prison of Burgos, Risa City, Sevilla, Teruel, in the '74 in San Sebastian, in Valencia, the '75 in Barcelona, the Modelo prison of Barcelona, and again in Burgos. And the character of the movement has evolved, and the shaping of the struggles. The first riots were a spontaneous uprising, and whose causes were often disorganized, of certain actions by officials, of attitudes of protest against living conditions, food hygiene, and the human treatment suffered by the prisoners in prison. With the death of Franco, this starts from the '72, a lot of riots starts in different cities. When Franco died, there was a pardon given to all prisoners, and they affect several hundreds of common prisoners. And the fate for the total amnesty increased. But this euphoria is short-lived. After a few months, a significant proportion of inmates who get out of prison get returned to prison, because obviously the conditions of the society doesn't let another way of living. The return of these social prisoners coincide with the amnesty that were granted to the political. There were two really big amnesties that cleaned the prisons from political prisoners. Also two political prisoners with crimes from blood crimes, we say, no? That was committed really big murderers and this fighting, ETA, Grapo, all the terrorists, all these people get out with the amnesty. So the social prisoners were really they feel really disconformed with this. All this desolation and the lust of faith make them to become aware that their liberation cannot come from the outside. So they say we have to do it ourselves. they have to organize and we have to do it ourselves, social prisoners, and from inside prison. They say the lesson has been hard. Now is not enough to go outside. They must create mechanism guarantees that it will be impossible to re-enter, and the prisoners know because they have lived, rather they have suffered during many years. This task have not done before staff of managers, not have nor the institutions of a religious parental working in the prison camp, nor those who think freely. They were out on the streets. Thus, from these basic premises, born the COPEL. When I say that, I think I'm out of time, so I'm not going to say what the COPEL asks is reformist, that health, hygiene, but we have to understand the abolition stance of COPEL in two ways: of not to lock the door from the prisons, but to change the society outside, the conditions of living. That's the real abolition stance. It's not to close the prisons, but to change the conditions from the people who live in freedom. In the struggle, what gets really hard in the 76. 700 prisoners from Carabanchel, that is a prison in Madrid, get in riot. They sent 700 letters to the king of Spain, asking for an amnesty. The cards, these letters, never get to the king. They have never get. And in response, the next day, several prisoners self-injured themselves. And in the afternoon, they took the prison terraces and put up signs of total amnesty or pardon to the common. Security General Director sent police to reduce the riot and sent helicopters to the terrace. Numerous political voices from the outside, including the Senate, asked that consideration be given to the pardon, that they are going to look for this. But the prisoner has to leave the terrace and has to leave the riot. And they say to the prison director that he has to commit not to do not subsequent repression because of these acts. But this was breached, and the administration of the prison sending prisoners to isolation regime, tortures, moving others to different prisons, and a movement emerged in response of these assemblies in all the prisons. And this was the way the COPEL starts, like there was funding in Barcelona.